Hello. We come to the second part in our short series on love and lovability, the virtues necessary for friendship. And in the last reflection, we looked at the three kinds of friendship, according to the great Greek philosopher Aristotle. The friendship or love of pleasure, that of utility, and the only true kind, virtue friendship or virtue love, where it's not the pleasure or the utility, but the love itself, which is what motivates the friendship. Now, in saying this, there's something that I suppose is very important when we think of friendships and we think of our friends. Maybe in a particular way when we think of the friendship between spouses. And that there is maybe a kind of typically modern view that friendship is a feeling. It is a good feeling, affection, an emotion, a bit of a buzz that we get from being with that person. And that's what defines a friendship. And that if this buzz or this kind of feeling or pleasant emotion fades, well then with it fades the friendship. And perhaps that's why many crises develop and people say kind of slightly silly things like, I've fallen out of love. There was some ancient writer who said, a friendship that fails was never a friendship in the first place. It's kind of a striking thing to say, because a friendship, a genuine friendship, in a certain sense, can never be broken. Now, maybe that's putting it quite strongly, but there's something about a genuine friendship, at least it makes it very hard to break, almost impossible. The kind of friendship that Aristotle is talking about, this virtue friendship, where we seek the good of that other person. It is not a warm, fuzzy feeling, a nice emotion. It is rather a real decision. In other words, a decision of the will. I am deciding here and now that this person, who I like, I enjoy, or for whatever reason, there's maybe motivations, but I am kind of committing myself to them as a friend. This is kind of mutual, of course, and it happens in unspoken ways. But a friendship, true friendship, is a commitment. Of course, in marriage, it happens in a spoken way. It's not just an unspoken development. Initially, it's unspoken, but then in the marriage ceremony, it's very, very explicit. This is the decision. I am making the decision. I will be your friend for life. And whether there's good feelings or the warm buzz, or that makes, well, no difference. So this typically modern view that sees friendship as some of this good feeling, warm buzz and so on, is kind of dangerous, because feelings are very, very transient. They're like the weather, at least here in Ireland. You look at the weather, the window 1 minute, and you look at it 2 minutes later, and it's a different day. And so our emotions are like that. They're very transient, and you cannot base anything on feelings, on emotions. It's just so flimsy. But rather, far from being a fleeting passion, it's a chosen stance taken up in favor of the other person. I decide this is my friend. I will stick, we think things like, I will stick by this friend. I will be loyal to my friend. Friends forever, friends for life. So that's this chosen position, this decision that we make. So it's very, very important. And I suppose that's why, again, in the marriage ceremony, that very solemn moment of exchanging the marriage vows is a very important psychological moment. Perhaps we could do that with friends. Sometimes it does happen, friends kind of declare their friendship, blood brothers, and they exchange blood or whatever. We are inseparable. It's just kind of nice in its way. But in the marriage ceremony, it is a very important psychological moment. I am committing myself. Again, as we saw, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer. Of course, for this to happen, like in anything where it's a chosen stance, we must know what we're doing. If one or both of the partners getting married were under the influence of alcohol or drugs, well, the marriage would be, the marriage ceremony would not have taken place properly. And the marriage would be probably invalid if they didn't know what they were doing. Just they were blind drunk. Of course, they can't commit to anything. Or if they weren't free, again, this is why the famous kind of shotgun wedding. The father is down the back of the church with a shotgun under the bench. Well, that of course would affect the freedom of this decision, and therefore again, certainly it would be a bit dubious whether they were really married, because it has to be this free decision. I know what I'm doing. And of course, in marriage, as we priests know very well, as we tend to do it, preparing couples for marriage and then doing the prenuptial inquiry, as it's called, where we grill the poor couple. Are you free? In one way or another, we're saying, do you know what you're doing? Do you know what you're doing? Are you free? And the couple again and again and again is forced to say, yes, I am free. This is very important, I think, in understanding marriage. It is a free decision. And understanding friendship at large, because marriage is just a very, very intense kind of friendship. But all friendships have true friendships, not the ones of utility or pleasure, but these true friendships are chosen stance. And we're also saying with a friend, look, if you lose all your jokes or you lose all your money, I'm with you. Even if all kinds of things happen to you, even if you turn against me, I won't turn against you. It's that kind of loyal friendship. That requires a lot of perhaps holiness to be that kind of faithful to a friendship, but friendship is that kind of written into it, that kind of fidelity and loyalty. I give thanks, my God, for the good resolutions, affections, and inspirations you have communicated to me in this meditation. I ask you for help to put them into effect. My Mother Immaculate, Saint Joseph, my Father and Lord, my guardian angel, intercede for me.